Oh, here we are back again. A new week. Mike, what week is it? Is it week 8 this week or 9? It's one of those anyway.
Indeed. After international break, it's good to be back. Rugby is calmed down.
Yes, yes. We won't talk about that. Let's
As
move
soon
on
as we start,
quickly.
the Wi-Fi gets bad. Yes.
No worries. I think we're okay now.
Moving on. Let's get back into it. Yeah. Some teams will be sorry they had the international break, came at a wrong time. Other teams will be happy to have had that time away.
Yes.
So, as always, it's interesting when we come back to see will momentum stay with certain teams.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing better than the first game, the Merseyside derby.
Yes, what do you think, Mike?
We've got Liverpool against Everton. I think that the break came at a bad time for Everton because they were actually showing some good form.
I agree.
And Liverpool, it came at the right time after the defeat to Spurs and a draw with Brighton. Probably a good time to get away for Liverpool and regroup and just calm themselves down after, feeling injustice about the Spurs goal. So because of that, and because they're in Anfield, and the break being at the wrong time for Everton, I'm going for a Liverpool victory, 3-0.
3-0.
Proper order restored in Merseyside.
Okay.
A
Very
solid
confident.
Liverpool victory to kick things off.
Right. Okay. Very good. A lot of confidence.
You got to be confident.
There. You have to be. I think, yeah, you're right. I think that the break came at the wrong time for Everton. They were just kind of finding a bit of form. Form as in they won one game against one of the worst teams in the league. But still, yeah. I think that the signing of Jack Harris.
Goals.
Yes, they scored. So, but I still think it's a derby game. It'll be a different form. Doesn't count much in these games. I think Jack Harrison is a good signing for Everton. Everton actually have won 3 out of their last 4 Premier League games. So there is a little bit of form behind that. Liverpool, they were very open, I think, against Brighton. There was a 5-minute blast when they scored their 2 goals. But beyond that, they were still a little bit open. And they'll be missing Robertson, who hurt his shoulder in the midweek for Scotland. So this apparently, Liverpool have only lost 1 of their last 25 derbies. So they've been on top. But this is the most drawn game in English top flight history. So I'm going to go with that. I'm going to go with a draw here, 1-1. I'm going to go for a 1-1 close, tight derby game.
You can. You can indeed.
I will do that.
Go for that.
And now we're on to the next game, which is Bournemouth at home to Wolves. And maybe I'll start with this one. Bournemouth are in terrible form. I mean, they've no win yet. They've got no win in the league yet this season. Their coach Iraola seems to be a little bit like duck out of water here in the Premier League with how to play the system and how he's playing with the team. So against a Wolves team who are getting results. So they beat City, they drew with Villa. The main reason behind that is the form of Neto on the wing, Cunha in the center, and Hwang in the front. Actually, Hwang is going for a record. He scored actually in his last 5 games. If he scores one more, he'll break a record, which first set back in 73. So I think just that Wolves seem to be a bit more clinical, or not clinical, but have that little bit of momentum with them against a very poor Bournemouth team. I think we might be heading towards the first casualty of the Premier League season coming the next few weeks. I expect Wolves to win maybe 2-1 on this one.
Well, can't fault your analysis. I think Bournemouth have been playing better than the results have shown. Of course, like the results, and it's all about the results. But they actually haven't looked so bad the few games I've seen them play. I'm going to go for a draw here again, just like we said about Everton. That the break came at probably a bad time for Wolves as they were just building up ahead of steam under Gary O'Neill. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here.
Okay.
Just simply because due to the reasons.
Right,
okay, moving on. Brentford at home against Burnley. And I'm going for a Brentford 2-0 victory here. just Franks, they have a better organised team. Burnley have improved their last few games. They got a win against Luton, I suppose.
Yeah.
And have looked a bit competitive in another game. But really, we've said it before, the promoted teams are looking poor. Brentford, I would expect to have too much for them at home. So I'm going for a 2-0 Brentford victory. Come on, tell me what backs that up.
No, I agree with you. I think, I'm going to go for a Brentford win as well. 1-0 on this one. Actually, it's a shock to read it that Brentford only have one win this whole season. They've lost 4, drawn 1 of the last 5. So they have been going through a kind of a bad patch. They will feel like that they threw away the game at the end there against United last week. 2 late goals for United. But they've missed Tony and Wissa and Memboy. They're getting chances, but not putting them away. But I expect maybe like the international break, maybe Frank will get them together. Maybe they'll kind of come out maybe differently after this break against the Burnley team, who I don't rate. They've lost 6 out of their 8 games. Actually, they're better away. They've only conceded, out of the 20 goals they've conceded this season, only 4 of them have been away. So they have been tighter away. So I expect a low-scoring game, but I'm going to go for Brentford's Premier League experience to show in a 1-0 win.
Okay. Take on the next one, because this one is obviously one of the top teams. Man City at home to Brighton.
Yes, City will be glad to have Rodri back again, and his commanding presence in the centre of midfield. No doubt they did have missed him in the last few games, lost to Arsenal in the last game. But they've won their last 20 home games in a row. And actually, if they win one more, they break Man United's record from 2010, 2011. So they're a different beast at home. Brighton, they've 37 goals in their games. This is the number 2, the second team with the most goals in their games in the 5 European leagues. So with Brighton, you're guaranteed goals. And so I'm expecting a high-scoring game here again. I think City maybe will have because Brighton have been a bit disjointed. A lot of new players coming in. There's things, a bit of a miscommunication. They're still exciting. I think City to win 3-2. I think City will be looking to bounce back after the 2 defeats they've had. And this could be the start of City going on like a 15, 16 game unbeaten run. Who knows? It could start here.
Yeah. I've got City to win 2-1. I do think Brighton, it suits Brighton to have a team when they play teams that will dominate possession. It actually plays into Brighton's hands more. So like City will dominate possession. Brighton can sit back and try and catch them on the break, which is one of their strengths.
Mm-hmm.
When they played someone like Villa, and Villa were also holding back, and Brighton had to go for them, they got torn apart.
Yes.
So it'll be interesting to see. Like, it's a game that could suit Brighton, but I'm like you. I'm going for a City victory. I think they need it. The break came at the right time. They have a couple of defeats. This will really test, for me, if they don't win it, there's serious questions about their hunger and the attitude of where they're going this season and what they're looking to do.
Okay.
If they win, as you say, it could easily be the start of a 15-game run.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, Newcastle at home to Crystal Palace. Newcastle had a few tough matches early in the season, which they lost, but they've come good. They're coming strong again, and I expect them to continue their good run and have a solid 3-0 victory here as well for Newcastle. I've said to you at the start of the season, I didn't fancy Crystal Palace. They have surprised me in how well they've played overall this season so far. I think that Newcastle have more solutions going on, and their good players from last season are finally hitting form. Again, the break came at a bad time, but your Almiron is back in form. Gomeres is doing well. So I'm going for a solid 3-0 victory against Palace.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm going for a Newcastle 2-0 win. I think Newcastle Yeah, they've won 4, drawn 1 of their last 5. They've scored 17 and conceded 3. So the Newcastle defense, which was stood them so well last season, is back, but they're still scoring goals now as well too. With, what's the Swedish guy, Isaac, up front as well, is scoring goals in them. I just think Newcastle will have that Champions League confidence now about them at home as well against an average Palace team, dour Palace team. Palace have the most clean sheets in the Premier League this season, a joint 4, I think, with Arsenal. And a shout out as well to Trippier, who's is just creating chances every time he has the ball. It'll be interesting to see how the Tonali thing is going to have an effect on them. I don't think not too much, but because he hasn't played many games with them.
Not a lot, yeah.
He's that metrodome in the center, creating the pace for the team. So it'll be interesting to see how they get on without him. But I'm going to go for Newcastle to win 2-0. 2-0 win.
Okay, fine. Sticking with you there now, what you're looking at Forest and Luton. What's your reading on that?
Forest were unlucky against Palace. They had some very enterprising play. Could have scored some great goals. Match of the day had was it the goals of the season that weren't scored? The chances that created were really good in that game against Palace, and they're looking bright. They've as many away clean sheets so far this season as they had in all of last season. So they definitely have kicked on a little bit into mid-table rather than being, say, like struggling in the relegation zone. They have the highest headers in the league as well. 50% of their goals have come from set pieces, and that could be a big thing against a poor Luton defense. So no firepower. They couldn't take advantage, Luton, of the 10 players Spurs had last week. Only 4 points in 8 games. They've brought in Andros Townsend, I think, is signed up on a free to try to create some experience for them, which they badly need. But I just think Forest at home was a part here. They've lost only 2 out of 18 home games. They're unbeaten in their last 6. So I'm going to go for a solid Forest 2-0 home win.
That's the exact same score I've written here as 2-0. So we know last season it's what kept them up is their home form and the fans and the noise that they make in the city ground. I don't think much of Luton. So I think, they came up. We'll say hello and we'll say goodbye to them again.
Okay.
Moving on to a far more difficult game to call, Chelsea at home to Arsenal. London Derby. I might take this first, just to And I've been humming and hawing. I had 1-1 down. And then I said, well, look at it, looking at the players. I think a big question will be about Saka. Is he out for the game? There's question marks about him. He missed the internationals, didn't he? Without him, that's a lot of the potency of the Arsenal attack is removed. He's just the link-up play, the way himself and Odegaard, they really know each other's game. However, I have changed it finally to Chelsea 1, Arsenal 2, basically because Chelsea struggle to score goals. They may have the possession, they may be hitting around, but a well-organised defence, and when Saliba in and with Ben White is playing very well, they'll struggle to break him down because Chelsea are not the most dynamic. Where Arsenal can go at this brittle Chelsea defence. So I have a Chelsea 1 easily 1-1 draw, so it's a hard one for me to call. I'm going for the Arsenal victory. You mightn't be like that. It could be the kiss of death, but there you go.
No, I'm going to agree with you. I expect goals. I'm going to go for maybe a 3-2 Arsenal win on this one. Chelsea have had a bit of form. They've won 3 in a row. Jackson's off the mark. Sterling was, of course, on form. But I do think that they're still kind of have the disjointed team that's still getting to know each other very much in that team. And you're right, the Arsenal defense should dominate that Chelsea front line. Arsenal had the most clean sheets for this season, and I think they've conceded the fewest goals of 6 as well. So the defense is looking good. I'm not too worried about the Saka absence if he's away. Actually, it might be a good thing for Arsenal, because they've been so reliant on that right wing with Odegaard and Saka and White. No harm for them to try the other side and get work on the Martinelli part of it. It'll be interesting to see who they bring in. I'm always hoping Smith Rowe will start. I think he's better than Havertz. He's better than Vieira. But I guess when Arsenal have paid all these money on these players and they're on their high wages, they've got to try to get them playing ahead of like an academy graduate. But I just think Smith Rowe, he needs to get into that team because he always creates chances. So all told, I think this is a game Arsenal should win. They're the established team. They're the team pushing for the championship against a kind of a newly getting to know each other Chelsea team. So I'm expecting an Arsenal win on this one. Okay.
Okay, very good.
And that takes us
so
on
how
to...
about this? We have a relegation.
Yes.
Yeah, the relegation dogfights on the next thing.
Sheffield United and Man United, yes.
The two United.
Yes. Sheffield United seem to be on a direct route down to the next division as well, where they're going at the moment, only 1 point, bottom of the table. Then, of course, their captain, Basham, serious injury in their defence, will be out. That would cause more problems for them. I think Man United couldn't have hoped for a better next follow-on game from their what they will hope will be an inspiring win against Brentford, the 2 late goals. But there's a lot of holes still in that United team that just 2 late goals are not going to fix. But I expect against Sheffield United, they know that they couldn't have got a better game after the international break. I expect that they're just experience and what talent they have to win by 3-0.
Yeah, I have them for 2-0, because with all their talent, they just can't score. They're still playing rubbish football. I expected more from Fernandes season. So far, he hasn't delivered. Rashford, I didn't expect more from him, and he hasn't disappointed from that point of view. But the new lad is actually coming out of his injury, and you can see why they paid big money for him. There's a bit about him.
The Hoyland, is it?
The Hoyland?
Yes.
Hoyland, yeah. I am impressed with him. So I have it for 2-0.
Okay,
our last 2 games, just time is getting late here, so I'll move it on. We've got Aston Villa at home to West Ham. An interesting one, and Villa would be a bit disappointed they got a draw before the break with a game they would have hoped they would have won, because they had been going through a great run. The big victory against Brighton, brought down to earth, I think, by, was it Wolves, I think it was. They're at home against West Ham, and West Ham have had a good start to the season as well. So this is an interesting one to call. I'm going to go for a Villa victory. I think because Watkins is on such form. But it's going to be tight. I'm going for a 2-1 victory here. I think this could be a great game.
Yeah, 2 teams, that are in form at the moment, and I'm going for a 1-1 draw on this one. Villa are very strong at home. They've won their last 10 home games. West Ham, I just feel at West Ham there will be a lot of draws in their games this season. And Moyes has got a very good record actually against Villa. He's unbeaten in 14, would you believe? It's his most successful. And Bowen has scored in all 4 away games in the Premier League. I think that it could be a tight game. Villa are kind of blowing hot and cold a little bit. Again, just this theory that West Ham are going to draw a lot of games. I think this is one of those ones. I think 1-1 in this game. And that leads us on to the last game.
Our last game then is...
it's Spurs against Fulham, right? Spurs Fulham. And so I'm going to go for Spurs to win this one. I was a little bit hesitant. I thought Fulham might create a problem for them. because they were bright. But then I saw they beat Sheffield United the last game 3-1, so no big shakes there. Spurs a little bit lucky the last 3 games. They drew with Arsenal. Okay, that could have gone against them. They were beaten by Liverpool. They had a bit of big stroke of luck there. They beat Luton 1-0. You know, Luton then another day would have scored an equaliser there. So Spurs, you know, they've been getting along, but they've had a lot of slice of luck recently as well too. And they'll be missing Bissouma in the centre of midfield after the sending off. But I just feel that the momentum is still with them at the moment, and they still have a bit about them. And I like their defence. Their left back, the Italian guy, he made his actual debut for Italy based on his good performances for Tottenham there in the last few games. And they do seem to have a good link up in the defence. Maddison is playing well. Son is going well. So I just feel that with Fulham's record of 1 win in 21 away London games, I think that has to be a factor. So Spurs to win 2-1.
Yeah. And you know, I think Mitrovic's lack. You know, he's the goals he scored gone away. No one's really stepped up to the plate to score those vital goals. It's a tough season for Fulham this year. Tough to keep. They'll have to struggle to keep Silva, I think, because he would expect more. But Premiership is where they want to be. So I suppose once Fulham get up, he'll stay put. I'm going for a Spurs 2-0 victory. You've hit most of the things there. I think just Fulham without Mitrovic will struggle to really test the Spurs defence. And yes, Maddison is playing great football, so I think that could continue. His relationship with Son is building, and Richarlison has shown a bit of form after a tough beginning of the season for him. He's getting more involved from an attack sense, and he's the kind of player that the coach I think likes, from what I've read about him in Celtic. So if he can get Richarlison producing the goods, the guy has a bit of quality. There's no doubt about it. It's just his temperament and his personality we've looked at before. Anyway, 2-0. That's my prediction, and we'll see how we get on.
Exactly, yeah. So there's a lot of games tomorrow after the international break. So there'll be a feast tomorrow and Sunday. So enjoy the football. Okay, all the best, everyone. Bye-bye for now.
Enjoy the football, guys. Thanks.